Come here. Get off.
Today we're talking to Mahogany L. Browne, pronouns she and her. Mahogany is a writer, organizer, and educator. She also serves as the interim executive director of Urban Word NYC and poetry coordinator at St. Francis College. Browne has received fellowships from Agnes Gund, Air Serembe, Cave Canem, Poets House, Mellon Research, and Rauschenberg. She's the author of Woke, A Young Poet's Call to Justice, Woke Baby, and Black Girl Magic, Kissing Caskets, and Dear Twitter. So many books. She's also the founder of the Woke Baby Book Fair, which is a nationwide diversity literature campaign, and she's an Arts for Justice grantee. She's also completing her first book of essays on mass incarceration, which investigates its impact on women and children. She resides in Brooklyn, New York. Thank you so much for joining us, Mahogany.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you on. You're helping us close out season 2, so it's pretty dope.
I feel special. Hey,
you are special.
You are. So we just read your bio, and now that we know what you do, what did little Mahogany think that you would be doing for work as an adult?
That's a great question because I thought I was going to be a pediatrician and a novelist. I was going to be a pediatrician during the day and a novelist on the weekend. And then I saw blood.
Because you had so much time.
And that shook it up. And I said, well,
we'll
no
just
more
chop out the first
pediatrician.
part.
Yeah. And novelist it is. But what's funny, that was, I think, 3rd, 4th grade. I'd already decided I wanted to be a writer. I just didn't know in which capacity. And I went through various jobs that all touched on writing, including hip hop journalism in Double XL back in 1999.
Whoa.
I was an intern there, and that brought me to New York City. And then I got to focus even more on not just hip hop journalism, but my own writing as a response to the editing process. What happens when people are asking you not to talk about too much of the truth because, it might hurt their chances to get advertising dollars later. And that's when I turned to poetry. And I turned to poetry like full pivot. That's been my focus. What I love about journalism is that it's giving me like deadlines. It's giving me the ability to edit without being, my feelings being hurt. It's like, what does the poem need, right? What does the story need to make sure that you're clear and concise? I want my words to be able to sustain and remain whether I'm there or not. And I'm able to use that background to make sure that I do it well.
Wow, that's great. That was actually one of the questions we were going to ask because you work in a lot of forms. So it's interesting to hear like what really keeps you coming back to poetry.
What I love about poetry is there really is no wrong. Yeah, like you can write a poem that someone considers not good, but that didn't mean it's wrong. That just means that they don't rock with it. They don't feel it. And you can come back to your ownership of what did I miss in translation, right? What was lost in the sauce? And that can be, that can go back to the person who is the writer. That can go back to the person who is the author. That can go back to the narrator. What did I try to do that did not work? And if what actually is happening is there is a disconnect because culturally people just don't understand what a wash and go is, or maybe they didn't understand like how you have to have a whole day to take care of your hair as a person of color. Like it's not,
yes, ma'am.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't get it because of cultural differences,
it's not for you.
Then this ain't for you. And I had to get okay with that. I had to be okay with the poems I write them for clarity. I write them as archive. I write them for those who aren't able to write themselves. I write for my grandmothers who were not listened to. You know what I mean? Their households listened to them, but not necessarily outside those doors. So I write for them. And as long as they feel what I'm saying, I'm Gucci. Like everybody else, yay you if you get it, and if you don't, kick rocks too. That's fine. Like I love you. I want you to be a part of this,
Yes.
but I'm not going to stop writing because you decide my story is invalid.
You've had a lot of big career milestones. Which one are you most proud of?
Most recently, I would say, because one thing I did forget to mention in the bio is that I just took over the executive director position at Bowery Poetry Club. And that's huge for me because I didn't really want to be an executive director. I ran the New Eurekan for 13 years, the Friday night series. I ran that program, and that's curating, that's coaching, that's mentoring, that's hosting. It had so many different arms and legs and hats attached to it that I was really interested in just writing. Like, what does it look like when I get to just write? What does it look like when I mentor myself? I came into this industry, this poetry, performance poetry world with no mentor. I had to look for mentorship in different spaces and places, and sometimes it happens over a cocktail, and sometimes it happens, at a one-off workshop. So I was interested in just being a writer for a minute. My daughter had went away to college. I didn't have to worry about that. So I think that was the biggest milestone for me, is the day that I quit all of my jobs. I received that Agnes Gund Award as a Bearing Witness Fellow, and it allowed me to quit all my jobs without fear, knowing that I had this
Praise.
grant to take care of like the essentials as I worked on writing and just writing alone. And it's like self-care. I know it's a hot word, but as a Black woman, it is imperative, right? I know so many people, so many mothers, so many Black women that we literally will give our last breath to assure someone else is good. And when Audre Lorde said it is, it's self-preservation and a political act, that's when I understood it, because as soon as I said, I'm putting all these things and I'm just going to focus on me, when I tell you the reaction of the people who benefited from my labor for so long, the
That's
reaction,
right.
the reaction wasn't celebratory, you know what I mean? Except by other women. I remember it like it was yesterday, just being like, I'm gonna just do this. And it was a volatile reaction. And so now that became the moment that I loved the most, because I stayed to it. I stayed true to it. And for a year and a half, that's all I did was focus on that. So taking on the ED position, it was because I was kind of missing that curator role. I missed, having like a community that I can tap into every week. And I just wanted to do it differently. I didn't want to be the only voice. I wanted to be someone who allowed this platform to be built along with others. So what could that look like when you begin delegating, right? What does that look like when you're not, your voice is not just the only sound in the room? You have many visions. So I have this like curatorial team I got to like start building and let them lead the way. And so I feel good about it. I feel really good about it. I feel really excited. But I gotta say, like that moment that I said I quit everything, that changed me. It did. And I told a group of women I'd never met at this beautiful series called the Dreamers Brunch. It's about 12 women. And in that Dreamers Brunch, they said, name one thing you're excited about doing. And I said, I quit my job after 13 years. And I didn't even get to finish my sentence when everybody started clapping. Every woman at that table started clapping. And it was all women of color. And I thought, oh, we all here. You know what I mean? Like we're all at that intersection where we're like, do I, go left and keep it trill, or do I go right and keep it real? Like, which one am I going to do? Because sometimes keeping it real means you're going to keep doing the same thing because you know that your house has to be taken care of. Your kids need to be fed. You have to be fed. And sometimes keeping it trill means it might be a little uncomfortable. It might be off the road, off the road map of this is what it's supposed to be, but it's still going to take care of you in the end.
That's what's up. And I super duper relate to that because I did something very similar just before COVID hit.
What'd you
And
do?
I quit my job.
Mm-hmm.
I just decided I was going to go full time back into consulting and putting my resources and my energy and my joy into this podcast and all the other things that really make me happy every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was transformative. You know, I worried that it would be scary, but I remember that in the moment after I said I was out,
Yeah.
it was literally like the weight being lifted. Like,
oh, I could cry
yeah,
thinking about it. Like waking up that next day
it's an
and
amazing moment.
like your chest is not heavy. You're not like,
Mm-hmm.
what meeting do I have to go? Like, what meeting do I have to go to that could
That's
really
right.
be
You
an
can take a
email?
full breath.
What,
Yes.
like, I don't even get to smell my coffee right. I'm rushing for someone else's benefit. Like, oh, it's so good.
That's right.
It's so freeing. Congratulations.
It really is. Thank you. You too for maintaining it all this time.
Yes.
But it's great, and I mean to loop back to the fact that it really allowed you to delve into your writing. I love if we could talk a little bit about your new book. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yay, Woke, a young poet's call to justice. So Woke, I did the edits during that year and a half. I had written the majority beforehand, but I did the edits, and it really is. It's a lovely hybrid of social justice, understanding, and the building blocks required when talking to young people about larger ideas. It's very difficult to come to a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old and talk to them about racism. They know what it is. They know that they're affected, but they don't know the name necessarily. The articulation is, far more difficult than the emotional capacity, right, for being misjudged and mistreated. So I wanted to be able to have a touchstone for those large conversations. And in this anthology of poems, which was written by myself, Elizabeth Acevedo, and Olivia Gatwood, with illustrations by Theodore Taylor III and an amazing foreword by Jason Reynolds. With that happening, this collection, it does so many things. We're able to tackle and unpack intersectionality, racism, justice, freedom fighters, migration. I have to get the book, but it goes on and on and on, right? And so even restorative justice is a part of that discussion, because I think we have these really, we think that young people aren't watching and listening and learning by
But they
watching
always
us,
are.
you know what I mean? But they are. And if they retain that information, things that we think are throwaways become, the marrow of these babies that go on to, run or ruin countries. So what would have happened if this book was available when they're, when an 8-year-old said, I don't want to play with that person because they look different. And then you start talking about, well, this is what racism is, right? And what does different mean? And why is that not wrong, right? Or what would it mean for a 10-year-old to have a discussion about their obligation as a global citizen, because all of us are a part of the world, when it comes to making sure we are not ableist, right? So just you holding the door open for someone who may be in a wheelchair is cool, but also what does it mean to make sure that that's always, right? That there is always accessibility for someone who is othered, right? We don't all have the same capabilities with our bodies. And so to not think about it is a privilege. So how do you use your power and your position with privilege to challenge things that just go unseen for you, to make sure that everybody is taken care of?
Word.
So
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
So, why was it important for you to collaborate with Elizabeth, Olivia, and Theodore on this project?
Again, we talk about intersectionality, right? Which was coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, which is very large. Again, a large idea, and there's many adults that don't even know what that means. They sitting up there
A
talking about,
whole lot of adults who don't know what that means.
they're sitting up there like, I'm at the intersection of a street. No, sis, we're
Girl.
not talking about that. We're talking about identity politics and political power. But when you start talking to young people about it, like, how do you break down that very large idea? They don't realize that their identity can be a power play. Their social status can be a power play. Like, all those things come into play. And of course, she when she was coining it and designing it, it was speaking about the way Black women show up in the room, and to not, generalize all of our identities as a monolithic thing. So the reason I wanted to work with others is I was coming at it from that same viewpoint. There's more than one way to look at activism. There's more than one way to look at social justice. And my way isn't the only, but if we are collective, that's really how we can, I don't want to get on the the church soapbox and talk about, how we will prevail, but many understandings and a myriad of voices is how we will collectively find liberation. It can't just happen with one voice.
Duh. That's awesome. So, as you know, we read poems from the complete works of Pat Parker last week. And
Come on now. Come on.
And the poems that we picked, they really centered small but poignant and really sexy moments between Black lesbian lovers. And it was interesting because, these poems really made visible relationships that we rarely see lifted up, especially back, when Pat was writing.
Right.
I'm wondering, from your point of view, what makes poetry a good vehicle for the erotic?
Well, that's a great question. What makes poetry a good vehicle for the erotic? If I can talk poem talk.
Yes, please.
I think the sparsity in language. I think the lushness that is often considered as fluff in, say, a historical fiction piece, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
a news report or a dissertation, an academic paper. Those are the things that they deem as throwaways are the things that poets collect and build love with, right? We build these paintings, we collage work, all of the ways in which you can touch, taste, feel, smell a sensation, an emotion. And I think poetry is the one form that there is no rock unturned, even with the sparsity of language. Even if we are being economical about how many words we use, because Pat did write short poems, as did Lucille Clifton, as did Sonia Sanchez with the haiku. Like, these are women who could write you under a table and did not need more than 20 syllables. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, whoa, why do I have all the feelings right now? Like, why is my blood boiling? And you didn't even take 3 minutes away from my life, right? You gave me this bit, this blip, this bite that I'm going to chew on for the rest of my time. And that not only is powerful, but it is masterful.
We read Pat's poem Metamorphosis on the show, and it ends with the following lines: "Fill me with you, and I become pregnant with love, give birth to the revolution." She manages to bring together the erotic and vulnerability and revolution all in just 4 lines. What connections do you draw between these concepts?
I think that Pat Parker, like Audre Lorde, I think those lines, right? I think the correlation between the Black woman body, love, and liberation, I think the connection is obvious for me because, one, I believe that love is the first revolution. There is a lot in our present contemporary world that is not that far from their time, that has been designed for us to not believe we're worthy of love. We're not worthy of being remembered. We're not worthy of being celebrated. And when you find love, despite those themes being casted at you, put on you, when you find love despite that, that is also a revolutionary act. That is a moment of not just rebirth, but like liberation making. You know what I mean? Like you are becoming fortified in understanding that the things that are sold to us, for us to change our hair, change our style, change our accents, change our names to be more easily, malleable. When you negate those things as the only way to be, you are making space for such a love that the next generation that comes, that arises, that is born with that in mind, will not fall victim to the commodification of oppressed people. Because that really is like, I mean, I felt like I just used a whole bunch of really big ass words, and that wasn't my intent. But when you sell people themselves, when you sell them themselves, like, what kind of damage, psychological damage, emotional damage, and spiritual damage, not just historical, but what kind of damage is being done for you to constantly keep us as passengers in a vehicle that we built?
Yes. Yeah.
And that is like, we have to break that cycle. And Pat was one of those persons. And all of these, like, there's a lot of poets who are like, yeah, I'm okay having a baldy, I'm okay having my hair in braids or dreads. None of it defines me, right? India R.E. had the song about not being defined by the hair, and I love my skin. And in a time where people are using bleaching cream still, there's so many different cultures that are affected by the bleaching cream industry, regardless of the fact that we know it causes cancer. You know what I mean? Like, and then what will happen once we have cancer, skin cancer? Then we have to go get treatment that we have to pay for, because we don't live in a society that even gives us free health care. So you're making us sick by making us think we're sick, and then you're making us pay you to make us unsick. Bananas. It's a racket. And she knew it. In them 4 lines, she said, "Banado." Bana.
So something that really comes through loud and clear, I think, in Pat's work is the idea that intimacy of all kinds is an essential part of Black feminist discourse and literature and action, right? It's a theme that we see in your work too. And here I'm really thinking particularly of Black Girl Magic, which really lifts up that self-love that we were just talking about. Why is this important terrain for you to cover?
It was important for me to do that poem and align Cardi B and Amber Rose and Badu and Lauryn Hill and Coretta Scott and Ida B. Wells. There is no one way to be a Black woman, to be a Black woman feminist. Just the same way that Pat Parker and Audre Lorde said, there is no one way to love. Right?
Yeah.
Like, heterosexuality isn't the only love that matters. Queer love matters. Lesbian love matters. Familial love matters. Kinship comes in many forms. And if we allow people to say that's my cousin and them not necessarily be related, but the act of family, you know what I mean? But the act of family is still revered and celebrated and respected, then why not love? So when I think of them, I think of Black Girl Magic in the same vein, that we can't keep having a hierarchy of what Black woman is to be respected. Respectability politics are a sham.
That's right.
So all of us deserve to be here. All of us are Black Girl Magic in all the various ways. I remember having this argument with someone where I said, some Cardi B, and I love Cardi B. And she's like, well, Cardi B doesn't speak for me. Like, that's not successful. And I thought that's interesting that you say that's not successful because you're an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like, you're a Black woman, and do you understand that when you walk in a room, they see you, they see her too.
Yes.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
There is no separation between the two.
No. Even though we know that we are not the same, that the Black woman voice is not, monolithic, we also have to understand that that fight is still not done. And that when we walk in a room, we've already been decided for whether we deserve to be respected or not because we're Black and because we're women. It's already been decided whether we should be respected because we're Black and because we're women. So for you to take your time out of your day to negate another Black woman, to like separate yourself, you actually are thinning, as they say, you're thinning the troops, right? You are isolating yourself from the power of we. And there are so many of us in our families. All of us ain't respectable. Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? Like, your auntie may did something that your grandma didn't want everybody to know about, and period. We all have had things that challenge or compromised our ideas of perfection, because there is no such thing as perfection. But we have all of those things that we come across as adults. I at least hope you're aware and critically thinking about your growth. And that doesn't make you bad. It makes you human.
Yeah. Wow. It's funny. We literally celebrate all the things that make us less than respectable on this show every week.
Love it.
Yeah.
We sign out every
in great detail.
We sign out every podcast as two hoes making it clap.
I'm so glad you're here with us.
Wow, I am in love.
Yeah.
Amen
it's
for
accurate.
you.
Thank you. And you, sis. So it's interesting. It brings up the question of, what does success look like to you?
Oh, I don't know. Some days it changes, right? I thought if I just had a book, I would be successful. And I had a book, and I put the book out myself. And then I said, if someone else puts my book out, then I'll be successful. And I had that. And I said, if I get an award nomination, I'll be successful. And I got nominated for the NAACP Image Award for poetry. And then I thought, well, if I have a bigger book company, I keep on adding these things, and I keep meeting the mark. And I realized that my actual success comes from the ability to love what I do. I'm able to write. I'm able to share. I'm able to make space for other people. And that brings me so much joy that everything else, I mean, of course, I'd like to travel and, stay at a nice hotel and eat me a fried lobster tail. And, I want the plushness.
Yes, fried.
Yes, fried. But my joy truly comes from knowing that I can write and make a living writing. And also make my daughter happy. Like, my daughter is like proud of me. She's so funny. She like hit me and was like, Mom, do you know who's following you on Instagram? So that's cute. That feels successful when my kid thinks I'm cool. I like that. I was like, yeah, I saw she.
Oftentimes your kids are like the hardest critic. So
beyond.
It's like, yeah, I got an image award, but did you know my daughter said?
She's like, do you know who is following you? Like, she was
Get your priorities straight.
She was hype. She don't care what movie I worked on, what poem who's following you on the Insta? Okay,
I love it.
We all gotta have our own measures.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yep. I accept it.
So what are you?
So a lot of. Oh, go ahead, boo.
No, go.
I hope you keep that. Please, Jesus, keep that part. That's perfect.
Okay, we will. I'ma go. So a lot of what you do, you've talked a couple of times about the fact that you love being able to make space for other people and being able to mentor others. What do you wish you'd known about being a professional artist before you got here?
Ooh, child. I don't think we got that much time. Two things. I wish someone talked to me about the finances of being a 1099 independent contractor. There comes a day when your taxes look real crazy. You're like,
ma'am.
What?
Ma'am.
What? I don't remember putting in 11 exemptions. What is happening? Like, I wish someone would have hit me to that game sooner. And also, which I think that we've been teaching our young girls specifically now, is that everybody is not going to like you. Some of them are going to go out of their way to not like you, and you got to be okay with it anyway.
Yes.
So I wish I would have learned that there's some things that I've still been, responding to as a high schooler, because I realize I haven't let go of the trauma of what not being liked means about me, rather than, well, who doesn't like me, what that means about them. Like, it took me very long to change my perspective on that. My perspective.
I remember I had a job, and I went to my boss because I had to do something, and I was like, but they're not gonna like me. My boss looked me dead in the face. He was like, you ain't doing your job if everybody like you. And I was like, well, damn. And I've held on to that, because as a black woman in this black body, in this black skin, if I'm living as who I am and not holding anything back, some of y'all just not gonna like this. So fuck them.
Yes, as I like to say, I'm not for everybody. That's okay.
But how long did it take you to get to that space? You know what I mean?
Oh, love. Not till my 30s.
It took a long time. A long time.
Yeah.
So what are you...
I tell my child, everybody is not your friend.
Woo, you got the mama quote down. I still remember my mother saying, everybody ain't your friend. And I thought,
you don't understand.
That's my friend. I love her. I got love for her. I love her.
Until you go through it.
Yeah. But then she also made me concerned, because she would say, everybody ain't your friend. And then she would say, I'm not one of your little friends, which kind of,
Yep.
that push pull. I was like, wait, which one is it? Do I have friends, or I don't have friends and you're not little? Which one? Semantics didn't go well in my household. You better get over yourself and duck.
I'm very much a words mean things kind of person, but as a parent, all that goes out the window. So
it really does. You really you return to
right here.
Because I said so.
Totally. I open my mouth and Judy Easter jumps out all the time.
Wow. Which is hilarious, because I'm totally different as a poet. I've really drilled in my daughter's head, what do you mean? Say what you mean. Even if you need to build the world, build it with these words, but you ain't gonna just say I'm sad because ain't enough. That's an open-ended statement that you haven't even given me. You haven't given me anything to understand that with, and what? And so now she talks too much, to which my mother said, you did that. I was like, yeah, you did that. You earned that one.
Kenrya.
I was literally just telling somebody, yes, me. I was literally just telling somebody, because she was saying that her, being in quarantine, her kid is always talking. I'm like, listen, I got an 8-year-old that fucking talks nonstop. Yeah. But when she was born, she wasn't breathing. And so every time I feel overwhelmed by the barrage of words that are constantly being thrown my way, I stop and I say, thank you, God, for giving me a verbal child. I have to stop and ground myself and remember that there was a chance that we wouldn't have had this privilege. Yeah. So even as she's driving me fucking crazy, I have to stop and thank God to keep myself from getting frustrated. Because, Lord, sometimes I don't want to talk.
That's right.
I'm an introvert. I don't need this.
Right. Does baby read yet?
Child.
Oh, yeah. Very, very, very well.
I would say go ahead. My daughter, she got so mad at me. I didn't realize, because I was a reader as a kid. I just started, if you read this book and tell me about it, I'll pay you for it. And that would give me a good, yeah. That dollar start adding up. But when I tell you the solace in my brain, as I just had to reboot, It meant the world. And we started off easy. Here, I read this book. Okay, here's a chapter book. All right. And now she loves to read. She signed up for book clubs. It's really cute. She's adorable. She's 22, but she still feel like my baby.
She's still your baby.
I said it'll be your baby forever. No, she's literally reading right now. That's how I'm keeping her quiet while we do the show. She had to pick a book and dive into it while we're doing this. So.
Tell her Auntie Mo, I'm gonna cash app her some money.
Word. Thank you.
You're doing good.
No, her next book is going to be yours. Like I didn't realize it was for her age group, but I'm like, oh, now this is perfect because her response when she sees racism.
What does she say?
Literally, more racism.
She is bored by racism. I rocks with her.
Because it's my work, right?
Yeah.
So she, like, we did the How We Fight White Supremacy book. And so she's in it and she's been to the events and she's just like, nigga, I'm tired.
And I'm 8.
I got a whole life of this shit ahead of me.
I'm tired.
So,
I'm
literally,
bored at
more
8.
racism.
I'm really about to cash app her somebody. Listen, you got me messed up. That's a freedom fighter right there. Like, to be done.
She's a world weary.
To be done. Yeah. Right there. You got to support that. All of that.
So, speaking of books, what are you reading right now?
All right. So, I just finished Candace Illo's Everybody Looking. And I received, I'm looking at it now. Yes, I received Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. And I also received Contemporary American Poetry by John Murillo, which I'm doing. So I'm like reading 1 YA a day and a book of poetry a week is what I'm trying. Because poetry is a little more intensive for me. It's like because I'm a poet, I'm diving into more than just the read of it, but the other things that happen. Whereas YA allows me some breathing room to just remember what it felt like to be a kid and not worry about bills. And like I'm reading when I read Patina by Jason Reynolds with his track series. It's a 4-book series, and I did like Ghost first and like got through it, it's like 100 pages maybe, and then I did Patina. I like started crying reading Patina because there's a section where he's writing about braiding hair. And it reminds me so much of home and of my youth and of that being the biggest thing to care about is your part straight? Did you grease the hair, the scalp? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he writes it beautifully. So I've begun to really honor those moments, and I think YA allows me to tap into it more organically than like, sitting and meditating and being like, okay, now I'm going to get everything out of my head. I just get to go back down memory lane and have that experience.
Love that.
Love it. Okay, so I like to get a little wild and crazy, a little ratchet. So we ask our guests a would you rather question.
Okay.
So
I don't know this game.
Inspired by your book, sometimes you get a little wild, but inspired by your book, Dear Twitter, love letters hashed out online in 140 characters or less, which was published by Penmanship Books in 2010. True. Would you rather be able to only answer questions in 140 characters or less, or only be able to answer questions in like 2-minute or more responses?
140 characters or less.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Get to the point.
I know, and from coming from you, it would sound so good. I'll be like, "What do you want for dinner?" And just like,
right, the economy of words.
Let's go.
Want to?
I love it.
Slather myself in those 140 word characters. So, all right. Well, that's a good one.
I hate meetings. I hate people that like talk long-winded. I hate I only like repetition in a poem. Like if you keep saying the same thing to me, I'm done. I'm like, sleep over it. So I really love, unless you're a wordsmith, like I can hear Malcolm X talk forever.
Right.
I can hear Sister Sonia Sanchez talk forever. Who? Like there's Ocean Vuong. I can hear Ocean Vuong talk forever. That's a book I just finished, and it ended me. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. You gotta watch it.
Yeah, I'm like afraid. I don't know if I can emotionally handle it.
You might not be able to, because it taps into like all of it. It does. But when I tell you beautifully, it's like Jesmyn Ward's Salvage the Bone, which is a top 5 book of my life.
I had to stop partway through. I finished it, but Lord have mercy. Yeah.
It's intense.
I had to like take a break and read something else and then come back to finish it.
Yep. That's real.
Yeah.
It requires a lot. It requires a lot of your emotional dressings, right? The things that we're rooted in, it does. All right, back to Rather Than Rather. Sorry.
Would you rather?
That was great.
So I only had one. I mean, I can come up with some more if you want another one.
Do the ratchet ones. You said I'm ratchet. I'm like, oh, we're about to get it happy.
Oh,
should have got my one.
Okay.
It's happy hour time.
Okay, so would you rather? Oh, you know what? I had this for Kenrya the other day. Would you rather only be able to recognize your partner by smelling their breath or touching their feet? So like you see them and you have no idea who they are until you like stick your nose in their mouth or touch their toes.
Which means you could be sticking your nose in the mouth of strangers all the time trying to figure out if it's your partner.
Oh.
Or you could be touching strangers' feet.
Oh. I would touch I would touch feet. He has great feet. So that would be fine. But I'd have to touch everybody's feet.
Yeah. You wouldn't know it was him until you touched the feet. And you're like, oh, hey, baby.
That's like die or die. Like, what? That ain't... There ain't no lesser evil here. I still go for feet because that personal space of your nose and someone's breath, that don't go away.
You can't unsmell some shit. That's what I say all the time. Like,
I can wash my hands
20 seconds. I cannot unsmell some shit.
Ever. You won't start tasting it.
Yeah, like, ugh. I have a sensitive nose, so I completely agree. All right.
I smell a bad idea. So, yeah, I'm going to keep that together.
You know what? I love it. Okay, final one. You know we talk about sex. We nasty over here. So,
yay. We grown-ups.
Would you rather have no sex or bad sex for the rest of your life?
Bad. Because you can make it good. Can't you?
It's like an itch you can't scratch.
But I feel like because I'm mostly in my head already, even the bad, it's like pizza. Even the bad, it's still pizza.
Yeah.
I can make it.
That's exactly what my partner said.
In my head, I can make it work.
Like, I mean, it's pizza. Even bad pizza is fucking pizza.
I'll figure it out.
You'd be like,
but like,
I've learned to enjoy that flaccid stroke.
Yeah, that taste. There it is. That's fine. Move on. No, right? Okay. Sure. In my head, though.
It's like, I love it. I love it.
That's
okay.
Amazing.
Oh boy,
you're the best.
Listen, you have to imagine a world so that you can build you a house that can live in all of them.
This is true.
So true.
The whole concept of freedom dreaming is some real shit.
Yep.
So why not bring it into bad sex land?
Is that near Wakanda or?
It's very far from Wakanda.
Just outside.
No, it's very far from Wakanda because
on the way toward.
Yeah, Wakanda is
it's probably right outside that. Yeah, it's outside that parameter with that shield.
Yeah,
The shield is Wakanda said no.
You know what? Actually, I think I think bad sex is in like Italy or some shit. It is not in Africa. How about we do that? How about we just banish bad sex from the continent? it over there. Put it over there.
I really loved Italy until I like got robbed. So
Oh shit.
I have a love-hate relationship with Italy. I love Italian food. My favorite.
Same.
Like I could eat cacio e pepe every day. Don't even get me wrong. So I went there waiting to just explore all of my taste bud dreams. And on the way to the airport, my last day, took my purse. Just snatched it, gone. So I'm lucky.
At least it was the last day. I mean,
Wow.
No,
up, but it was the last
I was
day.
stranded. I was stranded
What the
there.
fuck?
I'm about to say passport.
Yeah, they took it off. Passport,
fuck.
and then of course my money because I had been on tour, so they got all my money, and I had to. Oh, and it was the day before Columbus Day, so the embassy was closed for the holiday. The next day.
Hell.
And I was like, okay, hey jokes, here I am. On the day of the biggest thief, you know, right? One of the largest colonizing thieves, and I gotta wait
In
it
his
out.
home.
Damn.
I gotta wait it out because of him.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a great learning experience.
Yeah. So
All that to say,
yeah, bad sex
put
is
your
in
passport
Italy. Yeah. Fuck that
Say good
continent.
food,
Ooh, I know Italy is not a continent. Fuck that country. My bad. Do you?
So funny.
Okay. Well, Mahogany, what is next for you?
So we gonna look forward. What's next?
For me, what's next? What's on deck? Okay.
Yep.
On deck, I have my first YA novel coming out. It's called Chlorine Sky, and it is based on the poem that is up online. You can look it up. It's called Blurred Visions, and you'll see me reading a poem along with my daughter singing. At that age, I think she was like 14, 15. So that book comes out January 21, and my book of essays on mass incarceration and a long form poem also on mass incarceration comes out next year as well. So those things I'm looking forward to. I'm finishing up some recordings where I'm doing interviews with artists responding to mass incarceration right now. I'm excited to see how that'll look. And I'm really excited to like go back into the world safely. Yeah.
God willing.
I'm willing to wait though. I'm willing to sit still and relax.
Listen, I'm not arguing with nobody to go outside.
It's okay. Ain't that deep, you know?
Yeah, it's just not.
Yeah.
It's just not. Well, while the folks is in the house and online, where can they find you?
They can find me at mobrowne.com, www.mobrowne. And that goes everywhere. My Insta, my Twitter. I'll be on both of them joints heavy.
Yeah, you do.
I really do.
With your fancy and famous
and I also
followers.
host. Eek! My daughter did that. And I'm also doing every Sunday I'm hosting No Desk until quarantine is over. I host a poetry reading online, and it's free and for the people on the Bowery Poetry page. You can find more information about that.
Dope. It's on their website or it's on their IG?
It's both.
Oh, dope. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're so glad you're here.
Y'all, I appreciate you. Y'all have a good one.
Fun. You too.
I can't wait to see how amazing this comes out. You both are doing good work, and I really love your sister love. It inspires me.
Thank you.
Thank you. So excited for you. Let me do this. I'm going to say for the people, that's it for this week's episode of The Turn On. Thanks so much for joining us. And wow, we'll see you next season.
Season 3, motherfuckers.
Wait, did you say we just two hoes shaking it up? What was it again?
Oh, this is
Making it clap.
Erica and Kenrya,
Yes.
2 hoes making it clap.
Making it clap.
This episode was produced by us, Kenrya and Erica, and edited by Ballistic. The theme music is from Brazy. We want to hear from y'all. Send your book recommendations and all the burning sex and related questions that you want us to answer to theturnonpodcast@gmail.com. And please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter at The Turn On Pod and Instagram at The Turn On Podcast. And find links to books, transcripts, guest info, and other fun stuff at theturnonpodcast.com. And remember, the Turn On Podcast is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You can find more podcasts that you'll love at frolic.media/podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye!